And here Anand targets the c4 pawn with bishop to a6. And guys, that's the most provocative line in the Queen's Indian. Anand forces a concession, and guys, this is known as the Queen's Indian defense fianchetto variation, because as you can see, black fianchettoed his bishop, and also Nimzovich variation. Okay, so now Topalov simply defends c4 with the move b3, and you can see this solid setup. Okay, so now as you can see, since this bishop is attacked, so that's why here your Anand simply brings it back on e7. And guys, that's a subtle maneuver by Anand. By inducing the bishop to d2, he slightly misplaces white bishop, because as you can see previously, he wants to develop this bishop to bishop on this b2 square, so that he can eye on this diagonal. Okay, so now d5. And now white can simply continue with bishop to d3, and then he can go for castling. But in this position, Topalov makes a slight inaccuracy by queen to c2, which is a critical inaccuracy. Yes, he wants to develop the queen and also so that he can protect the pawn on c4, but this also allows black to dissolve the center. And then now Anand simply captures on e4 by d takes e4. Knight takes e4, and now bishop to b7. And you can see what he's preparing for. So that's why here Topalov finds the best move. Knight at e goes to g5. He immediately turns up the heat, targeting on f7 and e6. And I know some of you are thinking about the move h6, but guys, this move is a mistake. And now I just want you all to pause the video and try to guess the next move which white can play in this position. In this position, white can go for this amazing sacrifice, knight takes f7. The idea is after king takes f7, now comes knight to e5 check, king to g8, and I know some of you are thinking about queen to g6, but instead we can consider the move bishop to h3, so that we can attack on a e6. And if black defends with the bishop, and now white can just castle. And here look at this position carefully. You can see white pieces are heavily targeting the weak squares. For example, look at this bishop on h6, and in the next move this queen is also going to jump on g6. And also look at this knight. I mean, it's just placed perfectly, and all of these are creating much pressure over the king side. Whereas look at the black pieces. I mean, most of them are still in their original place. I mean, look at these two rooks. I mean, they are not participating in the game. And in the next move, you can see rook to a1 is also going to join the rook to a1 is coming, and it's also it's also going to join the party, which automatically makes this position better for white. Okay, so in the actual game, after knight at g goes to e5, so that's why now he goes for the move c5. He simply targets on d4 pawn, and here Topalov simply pushed the pawn further. And guys, that's a temporary pawn sacrifice so that he can opens the line so that he can prevent the castling of black. Why I am saying this? Let's see. Okay, so after c takes d5, and if now black castles short side, then white is going to castle long side, and in the next move you can see h4 is coming. So that's why firstly he goes for h6. He firstly attacks the knight, but in this position, as I said, here, Topalov goes for this amazing sacrifice. And yes, you are right, knight takes f7. And as I told you earlier, that this move basically destroys the black king cover. The idea is, after king takes f7, and now he can go for this check. But before that, Topalov decides to castle first, bringing the rook into the game. And now white must focus on developing his pieces, but instead he goes for bishop to d6. The idea behind this move is simple. He wants to, stop the move knight to e5 check. But what about knight to h4, which was played by Topalov? He eyes on g6 and f5 square, further weakening the king parameter. So, how can black, tackle this situation? So for that, you have to just pause the video and try to just think. And guys, in this position, the best move for black is to go for c4. And guys, now you might be shocked that this single move can bring black into the game. And now I know most of you are shocked that how this is possible. And guys, yes, this is possible because obviously now white is going to capture on c4, and now comes this another sacrifice, b5. The idea is to attack the white bishop again and again with the idea of queen to c7, trying to exchange the queen so that black can get some relief. And obviously white doesn't want that, so he will definitely go for bishop to c3, which is a good move because this also eyes on the king side. But now comes rook to c8, creating more pressure on the bishop. So that's why bishop to c4, and suddenly you can see white, who was aggressive, now becomes defensive. And in the next cover of this and basically in the cover of this, black can now simply develop his pieces and make a comeback in the game. But in the actual game, after knight to h4, let me go back. Here Vishy goes for bishop to c8. Yes, he stops the move knight to f5. But guys, look at this. I mean, most of the black pieces, as I said, are still in their original place. And now it's better for to go for bishop to c4 with the idea of bringing the rook on e1. But instead he goes for rook to e1. And guys, that's an inaccuracy because now black can just go for rook to a8, and he can just try to exchange the rooks. But so that he can reduce some amount of pressure. So that's why I'm saying that this move is important, so that he can bring the rook, because if the rook gets exchanges, then white has an extra rook which can cover this e file. But knight to a6. Here Anand decides to develop his knight, but look at this. This knight is developed in a bad place, or we can say in a weird place. And now Topalov can take advantage of this. And now he goes for this beautiful move. And can you guess the next move played by Topalov? And in this position, he goes for this amazing sacrifice, rook to e6. And guys, that's a very beautiful move. I mean, the idea behind this sacrifice is so brutal that it will definitely blow your mind. I mean, let's suppose if black decides to capture the rook. Capture the rook by bishop takes e6. Now comes d takes e6 check, king takes e6, queen to f5 check, king to f7, bishop to c4 check, king to f8, queen to e6, threatening mate in 1. So to stop this, the only move for black is to go for queen to e7, because if he either goes for queen to d7 or queen to c7, knight to g6 will be mate. So that's why the only move is queen to e7. And now, can you guess the next move? Yes, you are right, knight to g6 check. And in the next move, you can see black has to lose his queen. So that's why in the actual game, after rook to e6, let me go back. Obviously, Vishy doesn't fell for the trap. So that's why he goes for knight to b4, which is a good move. He directly targets the queen. And now white can go for this check so that he can maintain the pressure. But instead, he goes for bishop takes b4. He gives up his solid dark square bishop because After c takes b4, now look at this rook. I mean, it's just, crazy. And the next move played by white will definitely blow your mind again, because here Topalov, instead of, defending the rook, he goes for bishop to c4. He brings the bishop into the firing line of the black king. And here it's better for black to slide the king back to g8, so that he can get out from this, this dirty trap. Because, for example, let's suppose if you capture the rook, now d takes e6 check, king to e7, knight to g6 check, king to e8, bishop to b5 check, knight to d7, e takes d7 check. And here black cannot go for, king to f7. Why? Let me know in the comments. But for now, queen takes d7 is forced. But queen to e4 check, targeting this and this. So king to d8, but simply bishop takes d7, and you can see this is completely winning for white. Okay, so in the actual game, after bishop to c4, here Vishy decides to go for b5. He, attacks the knight, but guys, now it's too late, because after bishop takes b5, and basically I think that he will go for, a6, but instead he goes for a blunder, which is bishop to e7, because this invites white to play knight to g6, and you can see, what's coming next. So to stop this, knight takes, d5, which also guards the bishop. And now, here Topalov must consider this check, because after king to g8, bishop to c4, and you can see here here black is experiencing too much, pressure. But in the actual game, after knight takes d5, rook takes e7 check, here Topalov decides to, capture on e7. The idea is simple, because after And yeah, guys, so here, queen to d4 by Anand. And basically, I have a question for you. Why black doesn't go for this, rook take, I mean, queen takes knight? For that, let me know in the comment. Okay, so as you can see, since this is attacked, so basically, Topalov defends with the queen, and so what will you play as of black now? And I know most of you will definitely go for the check, but guys, that will be a big mistake, because after king to f1, you can see what's coming next. So to stop this, if knight to f5, now queen to h5, and you can see there is no way to, defend this mate. So that's why after queen to e2 check, it is forced for, black to exchange the queen, which Anand does in the game. Okay, so here Anand goes for rook to c7. The idea is to sack the rook and then king takes knight, because because as you can see, this bishop was defending the knight. So to stop this, simply knight to e5. And now to eliminate the black last active minor piece, here Topalov sacrificed his rook. And in this position, the final move by Topalov is knight to h5, and here Vishy Anand resigned. Because let's suppose if black promotes to a queen, but despite of having a queen, this is completely losing. Because of these multiple checks like g6, the only move is king to h8, g7 check, king to h7, g8 equal to queen, and that's a mate. What an amazing game by both legends. Like this video and I will see you in the next one. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.